Okay, so I'm with Julia, Bennett and Adrian Barker from IDEA, and we're here today. Tell us a little bit, Julia, about what's happening today, what's come out of the day so far.
Well, we've brought together a range of people from councils, from partner organisations, many of the people from councils from a corporate performance or policy background, so working across the council. And we brought people together today to try and have a dialogue, create a dialogue about performance, trust and accountability and what the relationship is between the three. And we kind of started with a challenge this morning really about what are the kind of three top ingredients people would highlight about effective accountability, and we've explored through several speakers and several workshops some really interesting successes, but also some quite big challenges still remaining. And one thing that struck me in a session we've just had with Demos colleagues about trust is that trying to bring about trust in a context of greater efficiency, you almost end up with the sort of what my teenage daughter would call the snog, marry, avoid approach of what your relationship is to trust and whether people feel it's something that they are generating effectively. Trust across partners, trust across their council, but above all, trust with local people, because that's what's so vital about trying to improve local outcomes. And I think, I'm sure people here would share the reflection that still people are trying to get to a dialogue about common understanding of what data they hold and what every different service interprets that data as meaning. And I'd really reinforce what colleagues from Birmingham Regional Efficiency and Improvement Partnership said this morning, that we're still in a position of being very data rich but actually information poor.
Yes, certainly. Data's come up time and time again, and silos of data and redundant data and things like that. Any other challenges that have come up during the day that you've noticed?
I think some of the challenges around public perception and public access to information. People have talked about who owns the data and the data huggers. I think that's quite a nice term for, we all want other people's data, but do we actually look to ourselves and think about, well, how much do we hold on to, and particularly we being councils, how can we more effectively share that? And Dave Hart from Birmingham was talking about, give us the data as citizens, we'll turn it around for you, we'll tell you what it means. So, let's enable access to data mashups, let's encourage people to take ownership of it.
And Adrian, you were talking in your session just about the policy landscape and where we're up to. So what is happening right now about in terms of performance management and where we are?
There's an awful lot happening, but I think we're in a period in terms of the policy landscape, a bit of an interregnum as people wait for the next election, and that seemed to be what delegates here were experiencing. But what that means to some extent is that they're taking it into their own hands and able to take more control over how they manage their performance and improvement. But I think something else that came out from a number of the presentations was a move from performance measurement. Then over the years we've moved from that to performance management, to managing performance more actively, actually doing things, through to trying to deliver outcomes, which is a lot more complicated and a lot more complex, and where traditional methods of performance management aren't always effective. For instance, one of the points which came out was if you're doing all the right things but still some of the difficult outcomes like teenage pregnancies or stopping people smoking don't improve, should you be blamed for that? Should you be held accountable for that? So there's some quite difficult issues still to be resolved.
And Paul and Jez were talking about becoming much more customer focused as well earlier on today. Anything significant you've seen that move towards that sort of side of things?
I think what I found quite interesting was that the idea of being customer focused has been around for a long time, but still councils are innovating. They're coming up with new ways of engaging local people. They're building on successes from before. For instance, training up local people to do research, to be mystery shoppers, getting out, going to places where people are to talk to them, starting to use digital technology, texting young people particularly to get feedback, lots of different ways in which they're engaging the community.
And finally, just to Julia, this community of practice, where does this go from here?
Well, what we're going to do is upload a lot of the comments people have made today, a lot of the ideas people have had. We've also, through the workshops, generated a number of comments about what makes for effective accountability, and we want to put them on a wiki onto the COP to encourage our wider COP membership, 2,500 people, to contribute to try and develop a toolkit around accountability if we can, but also, most importantly, to share across the public sector some of the ideas people are having today. So take from the group of people here out to the much wider group of people online.